So, good afternoon and very warm welcome to our distinguished guest and participant. Thank you all for joining us and being part of 2 hours mind-churning FEMA session, which will cover the overview of FEMA and the recent amendments, cases, and practical issues in FEMA. So in today's August gathering, we have a panel of most acclaimed eminent personalities from all over India who had done outstanding work not only at national level but also at the global level. We have with us CA Dr. Rajkumar Adukia ji from Mumbai, CA Dinesh Jain ji from Jaipur, CA Anil Sharma ji from New Delhi, CA Harshal Bhuta from Mumbai, our friend CA Sukriti Nandecha from Gurgaon, and CA Akshay Vijayawat from Indore. I welcome you all here on the platform of Gyan Station, and it's an honor that you are part of all of us. Let's start with today's program. I invite Akshay Vijayawat to introduce our today's guest, CA Dinesh Jain ji. Over to you, Akshay.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Hello, everyone. CA Dinesh Kumar Jain ji. He is a fellow member of ICAI with 18 years of post-qualification experience as practicing chartered accountant, having wide exposure in finance and auditing related fields. Presently, he is the secretary of ICIRC of ICAI and also Vice President of MSME chapter of Commerce Rajasthan chapter. He is also executive member of RTCA. He was the chairman of Jaipur branch of ICAI for the year 2016-17 and also served as Sikasa chairman of the Indore branch of ICAI in the year 2017-18. He was the chairman of Young Member Empowerment Committee of Jaipur branch of ICAI in the year 2018-19. He is the trustee of Shri Agrawal Samaj Chaurasi Pravasi Trust and also vice president of Sadhu Seva Trust Bada Padmapura. He is the secretary of Jain Rajasthan Yuva Mahasabha, also associated in various organizations. A very warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for joining us. Now I request Dinesh Jain ji, sir, to say a few words for our today. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, madam. Respected CA Dr. Rajkumar Adukia ji, our past CCM. इनके नाम से दुनिया जानती है, इनको सीए कम डॉक्टर ज़्यादा है और ऑथर ज़्यादा हैं. सीए अनिल शर्मा जी फ्रॉम न्यू दिल्ली, मेंबर नफरा. टुडेज एमिनेंट स्पीकर सीए हर्षल भूटा जी फ्रॉम मुंबई. टुडेज एमिनेंट स्पीकर दीप्ति जैन जी, फाउंडर ऑफ ज्ञान स्टेशन. अक्षय जी, सुकृति जी, एंड रेस्पेक्टेड व्यूअर्स एंड लिसनर्स फ्रॉम ऑल ओवर इंडिया. सबसे पहले मैडम आपको बधाई ज्ञान स्टेशन फॉर्म करने के लिए. ये एक अच्छा प्रयास है कि वी कैन डिसेमिनेट नॉलेज इन वेरियस सेक्टर्स टू आवर मेंबर्स एंड थ्रू दिस वी कैन कनेक्टेड. मेरा ये मानना है कि इस जमाने में, शायद हर्षल जी भी इस चीज को एग्री करेंगे, कि नेटवर्किंग ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है. दोनों चीजें इंपॉर्टेंट है कि लोग आपको कितना जानते हैं और आप लोगों को कितना जानते हो. मोदी को दुनिया जानती है, लेकिन मोदी आपको जाने तो मतलब आपका. तो वो दोनों चीज अपने आप में इंपॉर्टेंट है कि लोग आपको जाने और आप लोगों को जाने. सीए बनने के बाद ये प्रॉब्लम बड़ी होती है कि आप सीए बन तो गए, लेकिन शायद आपकी जो पूरी गली है वो गली भी नहीं जानती कि आप सीए बन गए. तो सबसे पहला काम ये होना चाहिए कि आप लोगों को बताएं कि आप चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट हैं. बिना बताए कोई नहीं जानता है जमाने के अंदर कि आप क्या हैं और क्या नहीं है. हाँ, एक लेवल आएगा, उसके बाद फिर लोग पूछेंगे. क्योंकि मोदी जी का भी यही हुआ था ना, जब वो 3 बार तक सीएम थे गुजरात के, तब तक मोदी जी उस लेवल पे फेम नहीं थे जो आज मोदी जी का लेवल आ चुका है. तो ये हमको देखना पड़ेगा. ये एक बहुत जरूरी टास्क है कि आपकी नेटवर्किंग, आपकी कनेक्टिविटी, यही एक असेट. और कहीं पिक्चर्स में देख भी चुके हम कि जो डाटा जो है ना, वो डाटा ही असेट है. जो आपके पास धन रखा हुआ है उतना बड़ा असेट नहीं है. धन हो सकता है चल जाए, लेकिन डाटा कभी आपके यहाँ से नहीं जाएगा. खैर, एक तो मैडम दीप्ति जी कंटिन्यू करें इस चीज को, क्योंकि एक अच्छा प्रयास है. हमारा जो काम है वो लोगों को नॉलेज डिसेमिनेट करना है और इसके थ्रू नेटवर्किंग अपना जोड़. क्योंकि आज से पहले हर्षल जी को मैंने कभी देखा नहीं था, या अक्षय जी को मैंने कभी नहीं देखा, या सुकृति जी को कभी नहीं देखा. इस बहाने एटलीस्ट जब हम एक दूसरे को देखना चालू होते हैं तो कहीं ना कहीं क्यूरियोसिटी आती है कि यार ये कौन है, क्या करता है, कहाँ से बोल रहा है. और इस कोविड ने बहुत कुछ हमारा छीन भी लिया तो बहुत कुछ दे भी दिया। ये शायद कोविड की मेहरबानी है कि हम वर्चुअली इस तरह से बैठे हुए हैं। अगर ये कोविड नहीं होता तो शायद हमने इस बारे में सोचा भी नहीं होता। तो ये उसको जो जो बोलते हैं ना, जो हमने जो आज तक पढ़ा हुआ कि आपदा में अवसर, यही अपॉर्चुनिटी है कि जब कभी तकलीफ होती है तो, क्योंकि विदाउट माइनस देयर कैन नॉट बी एनी प्लस। आप चेक कर लीजिए, विदाउट माइनस देयर कैन नॉट बी एनी प्लस। तो हमको तो करना यही है कि माइनस माइनस मिलाना और प्लस बनाना और जीवन को आगे चलाना है। शायद इसीलिए हम आज इकट्ठे भी हुए फेमा के लिए। फेमा सुनते ही एक बार तो लोगों के अंदर कपकपी हो जाती है, क्योंकि वो फेमा और ईडी दो ही नाम ऐसे हो गए जहां लोगों को भयंकर डर लगता है। शायद किसी और जगह डर नहीं लगता, लेकिन फेमा और ईडी के नाम से ज्यादा डर लगने लग गया। तो अर्लीस्ट इस वाज फेरा, और फेरा की जगह ये कन्वर्ट हो गया फेमा के अंदर। बहुत सारी उसके अंदर जो तकलीफें थी आफ्टर लिबरेशन, शायद फेरा में जो तकलीफ थी उस काफी तकलीफ को दूर करने का प्रयास इन्होंने फेमा के अंदर किया। फेरा के अंदर बहुत सारी जो ऑफेंसेस थे उनके ऊपर सीधा क्रिमिनल प्रोसीडिंग चलती थी। शायद उस बहुत सारी क्रिमिनल को उन्होंने कन्वर्ट करके इन्होंने उसके अंदर सिविल प्रोसीडिंग के अंदर कन्वर्ट कर दिया। वो कुछ रिलैक्सेशन है, लेकिन फिर भी पर्टिकुलरली जहां पर फेमा की कहानी आ जाती है, वी मस्ट केयरफुल, क्योंकि यहाँ पर ये एक ऐसा सेक्टर है। इनकम टैक्स में तो क्या होता है कि एक पर्टिकुलर जो सेगमेंट है वो डरता है कि आपने इनकम टैक्स चोरी कर ली होगी, लेकिन यहाँ पर तो जो हमारे देश की सुरक्षा और अखंडता है वो भी सवालों के घेरे के अंदर आती है, कि क्योंकि टेरर फंडिंग का जितना भी कहानी है वो सब फेमा और ईडी के अंदर कवर्ड होती है। तो मेरी रिक्वेस्ट हर्षुल जी से और अनिल सर से ये रहेगी कि हमको यही माने कि हमको कुछ नहीं आता सर, क्योंकि जिस मोमेंट पे आपने ये मान लिया कि हमको आता है तो फिर देयर इज नो नीड टू एनी एक्सप्लेनेशन। आप यही माने कि हमको नहीं आता, ये मानते हुए दोनों तीनों तरीके से कि हमको क्या क्या सावधान रखनी चाहिए, या हमारे क्लाइंट को हमको किस तरह से अपग्रेड करना चाहिए, किस तरह से अपडेट करना चाहिए, ये आप सारी नॉलेज हमको दें, जिससे कि हम अपने आप को अपग्रेड कर सके और अपनी कम्युनिटी का किसी भी तरीके से भला कर सके। थैंक यू वेरी मच। जय हिंद, जय आईसीआई।
Thank you, sir, for this wonderful words, and they are really motivating and encouraging for all of us. And you have very nicely emphasized the importance of FEMA for professionals and for the whole economy. Thank you very much, and we are very delighted that you are here with us. Yes, sir, बोलिए।
एक और चीज है कि कभी भी नेगेटिव ना बने, मतलब मेरा ये मानना है हमेशा, क्योंकि जब भी ये कोविड भी आया, ये इस तरह चीजें कभी क्या जीवन में आती रहेगी। तो मैं हमेशा क्या 2 लाइन गुनगुनाता हूँ, जब कभी तकलीफ में हो आप भी मेरी 2 लाइन रिपीट करना, मतलब आपका लेवल जो है ना, जो सोच का लेवल है वो जाने कहां से कहां हो जाएगा। कि यूं तन्हा बैठ कर ना देख, हाथों की लकीर अपनी, उठ बांध कमर और लिख दे खुद तकदीर अपनी।
Wow. Very nice. Thank you, sir. We are obliged with these words. Taking the proceedings further, today, let me introduce our today's chief guest, Shri Adukia ji. Our today's chief guest is one of the most influential personality who paved the way for professionals to practice in non-traditional areas. CA Dr. Rajkumar Adukia ji. He have left no stone unturned during his career span of more than 37 years. He is chairman of Meridian Business Consultant Private Limited. The company is involved in providing A to Z services required by any business. He is legendary example of seeking ways to explore new areas of business and profession. He is pioneer of many areas of practice which were never thought before by professionals. He has mentored 1,000 professionals for passing the insolvency exam and valuation exam. As far as his professional areas are covered, he is exhibiting expertise and providing services in various non-traditional areas. He represents clients at debt recovery tribunals and has filed applications under Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016 for recovery of debts through National NCLT. He has also represented clients at various commercial tribunals like the Appellate Tribunal under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002, the National Company Law, Appellate Tribunal for cases under Companies Act 2013 and Competition Act 2002. In academics, he was the 5th rank holder in Bombay University, and he cleared the Chartered Accountancy examination with 1st rank in intermediate and 6th rank in final. He also secured 3rd rank in the final cost accountancy course, and he has been awarded GP Kapadia Prize for Best Students of the Year 1981. He also holds a degree in law, PhD in corporate governance in mutual funds, MBA, diploma in IFRS, UK, diploma in labor laws and labor welfare, diploma in IPR, diploma in criminology. He has also done several certificate courses conducted by ICAR. His significant professional achievements include he is member of International Bar Association. He served as president of GST Research Foundation. He is also vice president of All India Insolvency Professionals, chairman of WIRC of ICI in 97-98, international member of Professional Accountants and Business Committee of International Federation of Accountants from 2001 to 2004, member of Inspection Panel of Reserve. Oh my God, they are so bad. Such a huge introduction of sir. Members of.
मैडम ये गलत है कि डॉक्टर राजकुमार हडूकिया जी ऑथर हैं, उनका जो बायोडाटा है वो अपने आप के अंदर एक बुक है.
Itself a book can be written on the achievements of sirs.
वो तो दुनिया जानती है तो उनका सर का जो नाम और वो नाम भी है राजकुमार है ना, तो सब कुछ उस नाम में सब कुछ आ गया.
जी बिल्कुल. Member of Working Group of Competition Commission, National Housing Board, NABARD, RBI, CBI, and speakers in IIA's 2013 International Conference in Orlando on Green Audit. Addressed the program for Principal Inspecting Officers and Inspecting Officers by Reserve Bank of India, Department of Non-Banking Supervision, CBI officers, Officers of Serious Fraud Investigation Office. He has planned the panel member at more than 20 arbitral institutions and forum. He's also a business transformation guru. Apart from his professional achievement, he is a motivational speaker, growth coach, and life business coach. He has done various self-development programs from India and USA. He's other follower of Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and he's also trained by Bob Proctor series on thinking into results. His experience from international training has been penned down in his various books on self-development. He had been felicitated with several awards: the J.G. Boy Cup for Proficiency and Character, State Trainer by the India Junior Chamber, Rajasthan Shri by Rajasthan Udghosh, a noted social organization of Rajasthan, and several other awards as a successful leader in various fields. National Book Honors Award 2018 has also been nominated for. With these words, I invite our esteemed chief guest, Sri Rajkumar Ji Adukia, international legal advisor and global advisor, to address today's gathering and grace the event. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dipti, for the very nice words. Dinesh ji, very dynamic secretary and regional council member from Central Region. Herschel, the writer of 2-volume books, FEMA Compounding, and a very energetic member, encyclopedia on FEMA. And our another speaker is also a moving encyclopedia, a thesis on FEMA, Sukriti and Akshay. Any subject, I learn a subject as a kindergartner, a 2-year-old child, how they learn the subject, A for apple, B for banana. So FEMA, if we want to learn a FEMA in a very, very simple manner. So FEMA is Foreign Exchange Management Act. So one should understand what is foreign exchange, because only if there is a foreign exchange, FEMA will apply, otherwise it will not apply. So we have 26 definitions where the foreign exchange is 2N. Now foreign exchange talks about drafts, the deposits, credits and balances, and then foreign exchange says it is foreign currency, which is defined in 2M, and then we also need to look at definition of Indian currency and currency. So if there is a foreign exchange, the act will apply. Like Income Tax Act will apply if there is a taxable income. If one do not have a taxable income, one need not look at the voluminous Income Tax Act rules and other provisions. Then to whom it will apply? It will apply to persons. So there is a definition of persons, and there is a definition of person resident in India and person resident outside India. So this definition resident in India and outside India is different than what we have in Income Tax Act. I'm just giving the way I learn a subject, when I had to prepare a book, we have prepared a book which will be shared with each of the participants. You can WhatsApp to Dipti or you can WhatsApp to me. So, but that book we have expanded, when we designed the program, we kept only FEMA. But the book talked that FEMA reading for a law, it should be read to increase the GDP of the country. So there are two other small legislations, Foreign Trade Development and Regulation Act 1992, which we have a import-export code number for any exporter or importer, and there is a foreign trade policy under Section 5 of that act. And there is another small legislation called Foreign Contribution Regulation Act 2010. Now that act applies if there is any foreign currency from a foreign source or there is a gift from a foreign source. So this book encompasses these two legislations besides FEMA. So FEMA, there is a saying that all current account transactions, we know as a layman, because this program is for all entrepreneurs, including all professionals, maybe CS, CA, CMA, and this subject is for everyone. So currently, of our GDP, which is 3 trillion US dollar, 48% is export. There is a government of India goal to make this 3 trillion US dollar, 5 trillion US dollar in 4 years, and 10 trillion US dollar in 2030. Now, if we work and increase our export from 48%, say to 200%, we may be making this $10 trillion maybe in 2024. So that can be understood if we understand, what are the facilitative provision of doing a business outside India, for starting a manufacturing activity outside India by overseas overseas direct investment, or by bringing a foreign fund in India by the FDI. We have a new FDI policy, which is a fourth version, though it applies from 15th October. It has been issued 2 days back. And I welcome Anilji, who is a thesis and encyclopedia on FEMA. I had on occasion to attend a 4 days program of ICAI, where he dealt with ECB and ECL, external commercial borrowing and external commercial lending, because we have so much wealth, we can lend outside India. So to understand FEMA or to understand any legislation, first pick up the updated BEAR Act. So FEMA Act, which is available on many portals like SCC Online, in Taxman, GST, RBI website. Then under FEMA, we have rules. Normally, like the Department of Revenue under the Ministry of Finance controls this legislation, because every act, we have about 1300 plus legislation. It is managed by one of the ministry. And if there is a ministry which is a department, like the Ministry of Finance has 5 departments: Department of Expenditure, Department of Financial Services, Department of Disinvestment. So Department of Revenue manages this. And then understanding the legislation, we should look, the rules are made by the ministry. and regulations are made by the regulator. So RBI is a regulator under FEMA. And then we have an investigation agency, which is Enforcement Directorate. And then we have a appeal process. So there is a tribunal. We have a, from 26th May 2017, there are the mergers of many tribunal and reorganizations. So we had FEMA Tribunal, which has been merged with Appellate Tribunal for Forfeiture of Property, ATFP, which also deals with Benami cases, which deals with PMLA cases. There are 31 tribunals where a chartered accountant, company secretary, cost accountant can appear. Normally, we feel, whenever a legislation comes, all new business laws in last 15 years have made all professionals eligible for tribunal and for other authorities like adjudicating authority. We have a compounding, which is done by Reserve Bank of India. So this is a very interesting piece of legislation. And any piece of legislation takes time, but it is said, every expert was beginner on one day. So first day you are a beginner, I come across many professionals. Sometimes, when I'm a learner, I address always on a topic where I'm a zero. With Anilji, we have been discussing for a long time, when I was 2004 chairman of Corporate Law Committee and earlier at the council level. So it's the way to learn is, I would be requesting Madam Dipti that make separate, subject-wise group like FEMA group, which can meet. You assign a role to one of the volunteer who can do a webinar once a month on FEMA.
Yes, sir.
So you have designed, 52 weeks, and every week there will be a webinar. So you initiate a subject, and then we will have a rolling and one who want to develop a practice in that, or any entrepreneur who has a query or issue on that. I felt very happy when in the morning you said, please post queries. And many members posted a query, like Rahul posted a query about project management, project export thing. So this will benefit the whole economy. This will benefit the entrepreneur. And so this foreign trade policy, which is announced, it is by Department for the Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. And I would like to take a stop here, because there are two legal luminaries, I would call them. They are the global experts, because I have seen their knowledge my hand. And those who have queries, they can email to us. And this is a, infinite permanent Gyan station.
Thank you, sir.
Where
Thank you,
any query will be solved.
Yes, sir. Sure.
And on all subjects. So we are very lucky that we have a station, where we can get a solution for any of our queries. And FEMA, the importance is there, and it will increase, because we can increase our income by doing more exports. And to do more exports, we need to know FEMA, because we will be dealing with foreign currency. The customer will be giving foreign currency to us. And we may be opening an office outside India. So we will be setting up a branch or a subsidiary or an entity separately incorporated there. So in a limited time, the two luminaries will discuss, and then we will take it over from there.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Dipti, for giving this opportunity. And thank you, Anilji and Harshalji, for sparing your time and making our knowledge more broader.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for this wonderful words. And it's a moment of prestige, prestigious movement and privilege that your book A to Z on FEMA and FCRA is getting inaugurated on the platform of GAN Station. Sure, we are determined enough to work with all the seniors and mentors to make it a global GAN Station. And thank you, sir, for being part of us. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure that Anil Sharma ji and Rajesh Sehlot ji has joined us. He is our mentor and guide. I hereby acknowledge his presence. Now I request CA Sukriti Ambol to introduce our first speaker, CA Anil Sharma ji. Over to you, Sukriti.
Thank you, Dipti. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, CA Anil Sharma ji is in practice for last 40 years. He is a senior partner of Messrs. A. Sharma and Company, a CA firm at New Delhi. He is a part-time member in National Financial Reporting Authority appointed by Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Government of India for a period of 3 years with effect from 24th June 2020. He is a co-opted member of the Committee on Corporate Laws and Corporate Governance of ICAI for the year 2021. He is an adjunct faculty with the Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs set up by Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Government of India. He was a non-executive independent director of UCO Bank appointed by the Ministry of Finance, Government of India for a period of 3 years from 2016 to 2019. He was a special invitee to committee set up by MCA to frame the company's Auditor's Report Order 2020. He is a member of Expert Advisory Committee of ICSI. He is a member of 2 special committees appointed by Honorable Delhi Court to refund money to the deposit holders of those companies under liquidation. He was a special invitee to the National Advisory Committee on Accounting Standards set up by Ministry of Corporate Affairs from 2014 to 2018. He is a regular speaker at various programs, seminars organized by various institutes and training colleges on topics under the company law, FEMA, NBFC's accounting and auditing standards. He is actively associated with various NGOs working in social sector. A very warm welcome to you, sir. Over to you, sir. Anil Sharma, sir.
Thank you, Sukriti, for such an elaborate introduction. And first of all, let me congratulate Dr. Rajkumar Adukia for releasing his book A to Z of FEMA and FCRA. So I have been seeing him, you see, creating more and more treasury of knowledge, especially for professionals like chartered accountants and company secretaries. So congratulations to Dr. Adukia. CA Deepti Jain, thank you for bringing me into your very good venture known as Gyan Station. I'm really happy to be part of it. CA Dinesh Jainji and CA Harshal Bhutta, who is my fellow faculty. So good afternoon to everyone. So with whatever time I have been allotted, I think it's quite a short time, but let me see if I have a small presentation which I have prepared, and I'll try to take you through this presentation, and this will give you an overview of Foreign Exchange Management Act, or in short, we call it FEMA. Dr. Adukia has already given you some background, what is this all about. So nonetheless, let me quickly take you through this. You see, first of all, this act is a very small act. It has got just 49 sections. But as you see in so many other acts these days, whether it's the Income Tax Act or a Companies Act, you, along with the main act, you also have a very large number of rules. And so similarly in FEMA also, we have rules and regulations along with this act. Section 3 to 9 are primarily the substantive law, and rest of the sections are all procedural and administrative machinery is defined there. two important sections, because Section 46, which empowers central government to make rules, and Section 47, which empowers Reserve Bank of India to make regulations. So Reserve Bank of India has been entrusted with the administration and implementation of the Act. So, I mean, this is one important question which in most of the FEMA seminars or webinars is being asked. How to, from where we should read FEMA, what is the, and how we should get ourselves accomplished with this particular law. So, see, you have to look at various sources from where this provisions of FEMA has to be understood. Of course, the very first is the Act, and I just mentioned about the other aspects like policies. Some of the policies which are issued by Government of India. For example, you have foreign trade policy, foreign direct investment policy, external commercial borrowing policies. These are policies which are issued by the government, respective ministries like Ministry of Commerce and Industry and Ministry of Finance, respectively. They have issued these policies. And FEMA, ultimately, Reserve Bank of India has to frame the regulations around those policies. So there are certain rules which has been issued by central government. There are around 7 rules. The important one are current account transaction, compounding proceedings, then adjudication proceedings, and then of course the very recent one is non-debt instrument rules, which is now relating to foreign direct investment and all. So these rules are issued by Government of India, and there are a lot of notifications. Around 395 notifications has been issued by Reserve Bank of India under various sections of FEMA. Then there are certain orders which are issued under Section 16, which are primarily these are administrative appointment of designated officers, and all those announcements are there. Then master directions are there. There are around 19 or maybe 20 master directions are there, which has been issued by. Master directions are actually a, you can say like a at one place the entire provisions, entire regulations relating to one particular area are placed. Then there are some memorandum of instructions. There are around 4. Dr. Adukia also mentioned about project export memorandum. So one of them is the PEM also. So those are memorandum of instructions, and very large number of FAQs has been issued by RBI. So around 18 FAQs are there, which are relating to, let's say, current account transaction, liberalized remittance schemes, ECB, compounding of offenses. All for almost all subjects, they have issued FAQs also. Together, all this, and of course, along with that, the compounding orders. Harshal has done a very commendable job in by writing a 2 set of books on that. So around 2,300 or maybe 2,400 orders which has been issued with regard to compounding. They are also has to be understood if you really want to interpret FEMA. So that is the, I would say, the overall gamut or various area which has to be seen if we want to understand FEMA. So there are few important terms which must be understood because sometimes there's a lot of confusion around these important definitions. FEMA: person resident in India, person resident outside India, non-resident Indian, person of Indian origin, and overseas citizen of India. These are few basic or important terms which one must understand, and then look at, because I have seen in practice, there's a lot of confusion about who is NRI, who is a person of Indian origin, who is OCI, who is holding, and sometime confusing within the two terms, I am OCI, whether I am NRI, whether I am person of Indian origin and all that. And where all these terms are important in FEMA, that I will be just quickly telling you. So person is an inclusive definition, includes almost everything: individual, HUF, company, firm, AOP, whether incorporated or otherwise body of individuals. Every artificial judicial person, which are not covered otherwise, which is like company and firm are already covered. So anything other than that, and any office, branch or agency owned or controlled by such person. So these are the this is the inclusive definition. So person includes all this. Person resident in India. So please understand this particular definition, because it has nothing to do with the citizenship. It has nothing to do with the plain and simple thing: a person residing in India for more than 182 days during the preceding financial year is then he does not include, he is a person resident in India if he spends more than 182 days in the preceding financial year. Simple, very simple definition. But then there are few exclusions, and those exclusions are: a person who has gone out of India and who has stayed outside India for taking up employment or for carrying on business or vocation outside India, or for any purpose which indicate his intention to stay outside India for an uncertain period. Then even if he has stayed for more than 182 days in the preceding financial year, he would still not be a person resident in India. So as soon as a person goes outside India for taking up employment or to carry on a business or vocation outside India, so from FEMA point of view, he becomes a person who is not resident in India, or rather person resident outside India. Similarly, a person who has come to or stayed in India otherwise than for taking up employment or for carrying on any business or vocation in India, or for any purpose which would indicate his intention to stay in India for an uncertain period. So it means this is the reverse side of it. If a person has come in India, but he has come in India only for the purpose of, let's say, for tourism and all that, even then, though he has stayed for more than 182 days, but his intention is not to stay in India for indefinite period, so then he would still be a person resident outside India. This is the way how you have to read this particular definition. And then few set definitions of person resident in India: a person or body corporate registered and incorporated in India. So if let's say a company is incorporated, it will always be considered as a person resident in India. Similarly, an office, branch or agency in India owned or controlled by a person resident outside India. So it means a person resident, but office, branch and agency is located is in India, then it is that is person resident in India. Similarly, an office, branch or agency outside India owned and controlled by a person resident in India will always be a person resident in India. So these are few important variation of person resident in India. And so far as person resident outside India is concerned, the definition is simple. The person who is not a resident of India is a person resident outside India. NRI. See, this particular definition, non-resident Indian, in fact, in different regulations, it has been used in different manner. For example, if you look at this particular regulation, Foreign Exchange Management Deposit Regulation 2016, or we normally call it Regulation 5R, and Foreign Exchange Management Acquisition Acquisition and Transfer of Immovable Property in India, Regulation 21R. So here this term has been defined. It says NRI, non-resident Indian, means a person resident outside India who is a citizen of India. So person resident outside India, we have already seen the definition, and now the additional clause is who is citizen of India. And in another regulation, which is Foreign Exchange Management, transfer or issue of security by a person resident outside India, Regulation 20R. Here you can see the word uses for the definition is non-resident Indian means an individual resident outside India who is a citizen of India. So technically, once citizen of India is attached, so we can say that individuals are always individual will only fall into this particular category. So this is a definition of, so citizen of India, whether resident outside India is a non-resident Indian. Person of Indian origin. This term has also been used in different regulations in little bit different variation. For example, if you look at there are 3 regulations. 5R, which is foreign exchange management, remittance of assets. Not 5. So remittance of assets regulation 2016. Here it says it means a person resident outside India who is citizen of any country other than Bangladesh or Pakistan or such other country as may be specified by the central government and satisfying the following conditions. What are those conditions? Who was a citizen of India or who belongs to a territory that became part of India after 15 August 1947, who is a child or grandchild or a great-grandchild of a citizen of India or of a person referred above, A and B, and who is a spouse of foreign origin of a citizen of India, or the person referred to A and B above. So you can see here, this is the definition. This is primarily the definition of person of Indian origin, which has been used in most of the regulations. Third term, important term is overseas citizen of India. So this has also been used in a number of regulations, 20R, 21R, 3R. These are which we have foreign exchange management, borrowing and lending regulation. This is a 3R. So here it has been used an individual resident outside India who is registered as an overseas citizen of India card holder under Section 7 of the Citizenship Act 1955. So this is OCI means any individual who is a resident outside India and who has got this card, Overseas Citizen of India card, OCI card. So he is a OCI. And see, the logic of using these terms differently into different regulation is that the regulator wants to regulate particular provisions. For example, issue of securities by a person resident outside India. There, they want to give some relaxations to OCIs. Acquisition and transfer of immovable property in India. There also they want to give some benefit to them as compared to others. So therefore, as compared to other person who is resident outside India. So that therefore, this term has been used here in different, in various regulations. Now, next step, once we have understood these 4 or 5 terms perfectly, then second important, I would say, concept which you have to understand is that FEMA formally recognized the distinction between current account and capital account transactions. And we can say the principle which is primarily adopted in FEMA as it stands today, you can very well summarize in 2 principles that all current account transactions, first is identification of current account transaction. Then you are saying all current account transactions are permitted unless otherwise prohibited. So it means if you identify a transaction that it is a current account transaction, then second step is to look at various regulations. Is there any restriction? If there is no restriction, then you can carry out that transaction without any hitch. And on the other hand, all capital account transactions are prohibited unless otherwise permitted. So here it is the otherwise, that if it is a capital transaction, look at various related regulations, how much, to what extent, whether that capital account transaction is permitted, if permitted, to what extent. So therefore, this distinction between current account and capital account transaction has to be understood properly. So for that purpose, you have to look at first section 2 clause J and section 5 that deals with current account transaction. And then along with that, we also have Foreign Exchange Management Current Account Transaction Rules 2000, which has been issued by the central government. Similarly, to understand the capital account transaction, you have to look at the definition of capital account transaction in section 2 clause E, and section 6 defines that. Along with that, there is a separate regulation, Foreign Exchange Management Permissible Capital Account Transaction Regulation 2000. So these are I would say the regulatory provisions to understand current account transaction. So just to quickly tell you, in section 2 clause J, it says any transaction which is not a capital account transaction. So it means then to understand a current account transaction, you have to very clearly understand what is a current account transaction. So if it is, sorry, capital account transaction. So if it is not a capital transaction, it is a current account transaction. However, they have said very specifically, the section says that, however, it includes payment due in connection with current business, trade, services, short-term banking and credit facilities in the ordinary course of business, payment of interest on loan, income on investment, remittance for living expenses to parents, spouse, children, expenses in connection with foreign travel, education, and medical. These are considered as current account transaction. And section 5, and section 5 now permits that, whatever I was mentioning, that if it is a current account transaction, everything is permitted unless specifically prohibited. So section 5 defines, or rather gives power to the regulator as well as to the government to come out with the areas where they want to put some restrictions, or they want to impose restrictions there. Then so therefore section 5 goes, any person may sell or draw foreign exchange to or from any authorized person if such sale or drawal is a current account transaction, provided the central government. So section 5 gives that power, and through those powers are now reflected in a Foreign Exchange Management Current Account Transaction Rule 2000. So if you look at this particular set of rules, you will find that they have categorized the transaction into 3 schedules: Schedule 1, 2, and 3 schedule. Schedule 1 are those transactions for which foreign exchange withdrawal is prohibited. So Schedule 1 is, so we were looking at those areas, no? Where what are those transactions which are current account but cannot be done. So this is Schedule 1. Then Schedule 2, transaction which require approval of central government. And Schedule 3 is transaction which require approval of Reserve Bank of India. So these are, so you have to go through these schedule and identify whether your transaction fall into any of these. And if yes, then you have to do it accordingly. If it is Schedule 2, Schedule 1, you cannot do that. If it is, let's say, Schedule 3, then you have to take the approval of Reserve Bank of India. Section 2E deals with the capital account transaction. So the definition is very straightforward. It says any transaction which alters the assets or liabilities, including contingent liabilities, important word is contingent liabilities, outside India of persons resident in India, or which alters assets or liabilities in India of persons resident outside India. So then it is a capital account transaction. Any transaction. So it means you have, when you look at a particular transaction, verify whether it is touching any asset, whether touching any liability, or if yes, whether it is of a person resident in India and this asset or liability is outside India, then it is a capital account transaction. And on the similar way, for persons resident outside India, any assets or liability which is in India, so then that transaction is considered as capital account transaction. Section 6, like Section 5 gave powers to for current account transaction, and Section 6 deals with the power to RBI as well as to the central government in consultation with the central government to allow capital account transaction and to extent to which those transactions can be carried out. So any class of capital account transaction involving debt instruments which are permissible. Now we are talking about Section 6, subsection 2, because now we have to look at 2A also, because after this non-debt and debt instrument distinction, so subsection 2A has also been added into Section 6. So any class of capital account transaction involving debt instruments which are permissible, the limit up to which foreign exchange shall be admissible for such transaction, and any condition which may be placed on such a transaction. These are the powers in Section 2. And 2A talks about not involving debt, any other transaction which is not involving debt instrument, which are permissible limit and conditions. And Section 6, subsection 6 of Section 6 is actually gives the further scope of treating that this, though they are in technical terms, you cannot say that these are transactions, but these are activities. But subsection 6 restricts them also and say that these are also part of capital account transaction, which is establishment in India of a branch office or any place of business by a person resident outside India for carrying on any activity relating to such branch. Then this would simply setting up the branch office or liaison office or project office is considered as capital transaction because of Section 6, subsection 6. So then you now Section 2, Section 6, and now the regulation, Foreign Exchange Management, Permissible Capital Account Transaction Regulation 2000. Here, what they have done in these regulations, they have classified the transactions into various heads. Transactions by person resident in India are given in Schedule 1, and transaction by persons resident outside India are given in Schedule 2. So once again, I am reminding you what we are looking at, that these are the one where capital account transaction are permitted. That's why, so it means if you find that there is one particular capital account transaction which is not falling into these schedule, it means then that capital account transaction is not permitted at all. Para 3 of and subpara 2 of this particular regulation, it says that the rules or the regulation or direction or order, any person may sell or draw foreign exchange or from any authorized person for a capital account transaction specified in the schedule, provided that the transaction is within the limit, if any, specified in the regulation. So just repeating what we have seen in Section 6, the para subpara 2 of para 3 is just a repeat of that. So now you can see, this is just, I'm not going to go through this. You can see from this slide that these are the transaction Schedule 1 by resident of India. You can see here in investment by a person resident in India in foreign securities, foreign currency loans, then loans and overdraft by a person from a person resident outside India, then taking insurance policy from outside India, from insurance company outside India, remittance outside India of capital asset. These are the transactions which are covered. And why these are important? Because when we go further, you will find that for each one of them, there is a separate regulation. each dealing with each one of these items, because ultimately, as I mentioned to you, that in capital account transaction, Reserve Bank or central government has to come out with specific specific provision that they are permitted, and permitted to what extent, and permitted to what terms and conditions. So for each item, you will see a particular separate regulation. Similarly, in Schedule 2, you can see these transactions. Investment in India by a person resident of India. For example, if they want to invest in India, FDI is part of this. Acquisition and transfer of immovable property in India by a person resident outside India. There's a separate, this is covered under Schedule 2 of the capital account transaction. Similarly, deposit between a person resident in India and person resident outside India. Foreign currency accounts in India of a person resident outside India. These are all, and you can see up to G, these are there. This is Schedule 2. But these are transactions which are capital account transaction by persons resident outside India. And then para 4 of the regulation, specifically, though I have explained to you, if those regulations are not there, they are prohibited, they are not permitted. But para 4 very specifically prohibits certain capital account transaction. It says that a person resident outside India shall not invest in India in any form, in any company, firm or proprietorship concern, or in any entity which is or proposed to be engaged in chit fund, nidhi company, agriculture and plantation, real estate business or construction of farmhouses, trading in TDRs. So, and then of course, real estate business has been defined as not to include development of townships, construction of residential, commercial premises, roads and bridges. So, so now after understanding this, so I'm a little bit in a hurry because of a time constraint. Now, next issue which you have to, next I would say concept is the various routes. So if you look at various, go through the various regulations, you will find that there are technically 3 routes. First is automatic route. It means these in these capital account transactions, you does not require the prior approval of Reserve Bank. So they have given or either approval of Reserve Bank or even for government approval. So it means they have given some threshold that any transaction up to this stage, you go ahead and do it. No permission, approval is required. And second is approval route, where the person requires prior approval of Reserve Bank in some of the cases. So that is called approval route. And the third is government route, which is require prior approval of central government. For example, FDI in certain sectors, where suppose if in a particular sector there is a sectoral cap, and if anyone wants to, and somewhere it is very specifically mentioned in FDI, then it has to be through the government route. So government route means permission has to be taken from the central government. So automatic route, approval route, and government route. And maybe one more step I would like to just say about the various contravention in the FEMA Act. There are some civil offenses. Of course, there are some criminal offenses also, because there's I would say, lot of people still say that FEMA is not a criminal, there is no criminal action under FEMA, but actually it is not so. I'll just quickly explain to you that. And then compounding of offenses, this provision is also there in FEMA. So section 13 deals with, 13 of the Act deals with penalties. Subsection 1 is talking about civil offenses. It means there is only a reference of any penalty. It says that if any contravention is there, then he shall be, upon adjudication, somebody has to adjudicate, be liable to a penalty up to thrice the sum involved in such contravention, and where such amount is quantifiable, or if it is not quantifiable, then up to rupees 2 lakhs. And then if it is a continuous default, then further penalty, which may extend to 5,000 rupees for every day after the first day during which the contravention continues. I don't know if some of you have already appeared before Enforcement Directorate, ED. So there you must have seen how this figure is calculated and how big this figure becomes sometime. And then subsection 1B and 1C talk about the criminal offenses. These two subsections were amended from 9th September 2015. So it means after 9th September 2015, virtually they become, there are criminal offenses under FEMA also. So what is that? It says that if any person is found to have acquired any foreign exchange, foreign security or immoral property situated outside India of the aggregate value, this value is as specified. So this has been prescribed by notification GSR 701E dated 16th September 2015. He shall be liable to a penalty up to 3 times the sum involved and confiscation of the value equivalent situated in India, and this is the important part, and on the recommendation of adjudicating authority, Directorate of Enforcement may direct prosecution by filing a criminal complaint against the guilty person and shall be punishable with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 5 years or with fine. So this is the criminal liability part of it. Then compounding offenses, section 15 has given powers to the under the act, where Directorate of Enforcement, officers of Reserve Bank, when they are authorized on behalf of central government, they can commit the contravention to be compounded within 180 days from the date of receipt of application. And along with that, there is a very detailed rules, foreign exchange compounding proceeding rules 2000, and then it talks about the details how compounding can be done there. So I think in this whatever shortest possible time, I could give you an overview, and the rest I think I would like to cover in question answer session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I understand it's very difficult to explain FEMA and such a complicated topic, and the topic itself says the overview of FEMA in a short span of time. But we are very grateful, and though the time was short, but you have covered all the important aspects of FEMA. We request our participants to post their questions in the question answer panel. Now let's start with our second technical session. I request CA Akshay Vijawat from Indore to give the introduction of our next expert, Harshal Bhuta. Over to you, Akshay.
Thank you, Dipti. Harshal Bhuta is a fellow member of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. He has completed his Master of Commerce from University of Mumbai. He has also received an advanced diploma in international taxation from the Chartered Institute of Taxation, United Kingdom. He was selected as FIT Scholar 2014 to pursue LLM program in International Tax Law at Vienna University of Business and Economics, which he has successfully completed with honor. He is working with PR Bhuta and Company Chartered Accountants, Mumbai-based firm, which is a boutique firm known for providing Indian foreign exchange law consultancy and international taxation consultancy services, along with focus on non-resident Indians and foreign national centric regulating services in India. He has over 10 years of working experience, and his area of specialization include international taxation, transfer pricing, Indian foreign exchange regulations, and business valuation. Along with the co-partners, Harshal Bhuta has made various representation from the firm to Central Board of Direct Taxes and Department of Promotion and Industry and Internal Trade Policy, and also the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development towards suggestion for improvement of drafted legislation. Harshad Bhutta has been speaker at various forums, including Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, the Chamber of Tax Consultants, Bombay Chartered Accountants Society, and published many articles. His presentations and articles were also available at his LinkedIn profile. He has conducted master classes on cross-border transactions for training participants for corporate subsectors. He has also authored the publication FEMA Compounding Orders, a comprehensive analysis published by Bloomsbury India. A very warm welcome to you, sir. Over to you.
Thank you, Akshay, for the kind introduction. And I think I also have a very short period to cover a lot of aspects. So I think without much ado, I shall start with that. So, I will be speaking in English as well as Hindi राष्ट्र भाषा है, but दिनेश जी जितना तो शुद्ध हिंदी में बोल नहीं पाऊंगा because I am staying in Bombay. So, to convey the regulations in the right tenor, I think it is better to mix our language, English and Hindi. So I think let's start with the presentation. Yes, okay. So मैं क्या cover करने जा रहा हूँ आज? So one is recent developments. उसमें जो amendments आए हैं, एक दो जो एकदम very important amendments have come. Second, practical issues which we face on a day-to-day basis. So whenever you interact with the AD banks, whenever you interact with your clients, so क्या issues day-to-day practice में हम face करते हैं, that I will cover. And then I have tried to formulate some 4 to 5 case studies, and these are at a base level because because of the short time I didn't want to get into complicated matters, but I believe that 4-5 जो case studies है जो हमको day-to-day practice में देखने मिलती है, and so that all the participants will also have a good takeaway from this session. ओके सो रिसेंट डेवलपमेंट्स आप देखते रहेंगे जो न्यूज़पेपर में आजकल आ रहा है. सो लॉट ऑफ चेंजेस आर इन द वर्क्स. वन इज ओडीआई में आपने सुना होगा जो राउंड ट्रिपिंग का पूरा कॉन्सेप्ट है, हाउ राउंड ट्रिपिंग से मार्केट प्राइस रिगिंग होता है. काफी बार टैक्स इवेजन के लिए राउंड ट्रिप ओवरसीज स्ट्रक्चर्स यूज करते हैं. सो दैट इज व्हाई फ्रॉम अ लॉन्ग टाइम, since a long time, RBI has been looking to overhaul the regulations. So right now वो जो भी notification है outbound investments के लिए, that is FEMA notification 120, and RBI has been in the works to revise that back to 19R. The earlier notification for outbound was 19, so it wants to revise that and issue a new one. So we are expecting that soon. सेकेंड एफडीआई में भी काफी सारे डेवलपमेंट्स है. वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट डेवलपमेंट में जो कवर करना चाहूंगा, दैट इज द इन्वेस्टमेंट्स फ्रॉम चाइना, एंड उसका बेरिंग जो स्टार्टअप्स पे हो रहा है, हाउ इट इज कमिंग इनटू प्ले. So there's a lot of politics also which is involved in that. One important piece of information that has come up recently is government has come up with the FDI circular after a gap of almost 3 years. The last FDI circular that had come, that was in the year 2017. After that directly 2020 में आया है. But one important thing that needs to be borne in mind is that जब भी conflict आएगा between FEMA regulations and the FDI policy, FEMA regulations will prevail over the FDI policy. So that is very clearly stated even if the FDI policy. But FDI policy क्यों दिया जाता है? So that everything is available at one consolidated place, and this is for the foreign investors per se. So अपना जो FDI policy है now, earlier, so the powers to regulate that were with RBI. Now recently, about a year back, they have been transferred to the central government, and जो भी changes, जो भी amendments लाने हैं law के अंदर, now जो non-debt instrument rules है, those have been prescribed by central government, and जो भी ये changes आएंगे by way of press note, they will be put into the by way of amendment into the non-debt instrument rules, and everything is now governed by the government. But आपको जो भी applications करने हैं apart from FDI, see FDI applications go to the respective ministries. आपको FIFP portal दिया गया है जिसपे आपको application file करने हैं online, and it will go to the respective ministry. जो भी questions आएंगे, you will have to answer them. If it is from these land bordering countries, now defense ministry is also involved, and defense ministry का vetting होता है. But otherwise than that, आपको जो भी अप्रूवल लेने हैं, जैसे you know if you want to gift certain instruments by a non-resident to another non-resident and a repatriable route, उसमें जो भी certain limits are given, $50,000 तक ही कर सकते हो, 5% of capital तक ही कर सकते हो. If you want to go beyond that, तो वो सब applications now the power are still, they have come back to RBI. उसके लिए भी एक separate amendment आया गया था. And now for FDI speeding up also, right now जो भी SOP दिया गया है FIFP portal पे, जो भी timelines दिए गए 6 to 8 weeks के timeline, that you know from the time that you make the application till the time that you receive it or get a rejection, those timelines are also under overhaul, and probably shortly we may get to see new timelines and reduced timelines in that regard. So you know a lot of developments are taking in the inbound and the outbound space. So let's dive directly into the most important amendment that has come in recently, and this is, everyone knows that this is in the backdrop of certain recent political developments, certain defense developments that have taken place. So let us see what are the amendments that have been brought in under the law. तो ये जो प्रेस नोट 3 of 2020 आया गया था, so that press note 3 has now put into the law by way of amending rule 6A of the non-debt instrument rules 2019. Okay, so I think before this let me give you a little background. So around October 2019 what had happened is, जो Finance Act 2015 में जो amendment लाया गया था, that was not yet effective. In October 2019, that amendment was made effective, because of which the powers to regulate the capital account transactions, certain capital account transactions, most importantly the inbound regulations, they were taken away from RBI and given to the central government. There were certain practical reasons behind this. One is because ये जो FDI policy and press note, they were issued by DIPP, which is arm of the government. जो earlier TISPRO regulations थे, जो 20, उसके बाद 20R आया, that is 20 revised regulation FEMA 20R, उसमें जो amendment होता था, there was a little time lag. So therefore foreign investors used to get confused. अरे press note तो issue हो गया, FEMA regulations में आया नहीं, so what should we follow? Should we follow the press note and go ahead with the investment, go ahead with the changes, interpreting them, or should we wait for a formal notification from the Reserve Bank and उसके बाद ही we can make further foreign investment into India? So that was one of the reasons. Second reason was the big tussle between in the case of Tata Docomo. RBI refused to give the permission for sale of shares below the fair value, whereas the government wanted to save face before the international community, and therefore wo jo tussle tha. So in order to avoid that, the powers to regulate the capital account transactions, specifically the foreign investments into India, they were transferred from RBI to the central government. So now therefore, because of that, जो भी TISPO regulations थे, they were replaced by 2-3 different regulations. One is the non-debt instrument regulations. Non-debt instrument regulations meaning आपके जो भी equity instruments है, equity instruments meaning आपका equity shares, compulsorily convertible debentures, compulsorily convertible preference shares. So all those now are governed by non-debt instrument rules. Then there's a separate debt instrument regulation. So earlier the schedule 5 which used to be there, wherein certain non-equity instruments investment used to be governed under TISPRO. Now uska separate category carve out ho gaya hai, separate regulation, since that is still governed by RBI. Okay, so therefore if FPI wants to make investment into listed entities of a particular company, so that is governed under the debt instruments. Okay, so that is within the purview of RBI. And जो भी procedural requirements है, the filing of FCGPR, FCTRS, timelines क्या है for issue of the shares, so that is another regulation, which is the mode of investment and reporting regulations. So that is still under RBI purview. So ये जो change लाया गया है, this is in the law which is governing foreign investments, which is now with RBI as we saw. So rule 6A has been amended. So what does it talk about? Now this proviso has been added. So provided that an entity of a country which shares land borders with India, or the beneficial owner of an investment into India which is situated in or is a citizen of any country or any such country, shall invest only with the government approval. So what earlier used to happen, whenever investment used to come from land bordering countries, except Pakistan and Bangladesh. Investment from Pakistan was always under government route. That has not changed. What has changed is from the other land bordering countries, जो automatic route में भी investment आ सकता था, is now under the government approval route. Let's take for example a very simple instance. Suppose a foreign investor wants to invest into a service company into India. Now service company में 100% FDI allowed है. So earlier, even a Chinese company could have invested into a service consultancy company into India under the automatic route, 100% investment. Now what has happened because of this change, even though the sector per se is under automatic route, the investment has been transferred to the government approval route. So therefore, now if a particular Chinese company wants to make further investment into such Indian consultancy services company, that investment has to be routed through the government approval route. So you have to go to the government. So FIFP portal पे आपको जाके, you have to make an investment proposal. उसमें सब details भरने पड़ते हैं. After examination only and only if the government approves them, then they will be allowed to make further investment. As on today, almost more than 100 cases are pending with the government under the government approval route. Even for minute investments, even for 1% investments from the land bordering countries, and mind you, not necessarily only China, that also includes other countries. All are lying with the government. The government has not yet taken a view. It is due to take a view very soon. So the hearsay is that they are going to probably fix a benchmark of beneficial ownership, and it could be anyway around 10%. So say if under the regulations 10% is going to be prescribed in the future as a beneficial ownership threshold, then जो भी उसके नीचे investment आएगा, that may not need government approval. But in any case, this is hearsay. It is anybody's guess. जो developments हो रहे in the defense ground also, in the political space also. Depending on that, probably government may want to take a call. Okay. So first proviso is in relation to the fresh investments. The second proviso is untouched. The third proviso, what does that talk about? It talks about transfer of ownership of an existing or future FDI. So first proviso is fresh investment. Third proviso is transfer of existing investment. So say suppose a resident Indian entity wants to transfer a stake in an Indian entity to a foreign investor being a Chinese investor. So that is not a fresh investment, that is a existing investment transfer. Even in those cases, it will go under the government approval route. So this is a very, very important change that has been brought in. Now let's see what are the implications. So as I said, it's not only China, there are other countries also which have been affected. Bhutan, Nepal, Pakistan, Afghanistan. So anyway, the percentage of FDI from the other neighboring countries is minuscule. So therefore, it may not really affect to a large extent the investments that may be coming from those countries. Another important point that we talked about is beneficial ownership, which has not been defined till now. In fact, it has not been defined under FEMA at all. The concept of beneficial ownership has come into the FEMA legislation for the first time since 2000 when FEMA was brought in, 1999 since FEMA was brought in. Till this point in time, there was no concept of beneficial ownership. Though it may have been there under company law, it was never there under FEMA. This is the first time that it hasn't come in, and yet it has not been defined, though this amendment has been made way back in March 2020. Okay. Certain questions which remain unanswered, and nobody would have an answer to that, is whether when we say land bordering countries, can we consider Hong Kong and Macau and Taiwan investments, and can we club them along with China investments? I don't think anybody has an answer to that. If you ask me practically on ground level, AD banks are asking the prospective investee companies to go under the approval route. They are not taking a chance. They are not taking a stand in this. Okay. Another important point to note, if we go back to this amendment, here the term specified in Schedule 1 has been mentioned. Okay. So therefore, the amendment has come only for Schedule 1 investments. What do you mean by Schedule 1 investment? Schedule 1 investment is basically nothing but FDI investments. So it does not apply to FPI investments. So therefore, even as on today, if an FPI, so Chinese registered FPI, wants to make investment into listed companies into India, it can still go ahead and do as per whatever threshold has been given under Schedule 2. In fact, recently in news reports, it has been mentioned that even Schedule 2 investments may come under the purview. We have to wait and watch what is going to happen in the near future. So as I said, it covers only Schedule 1 investments. So as a corollary, the investments into Indian LLP get out of the purview of this. The investments on a non-repatriable basis get out of the purview of this amendment. Non-repatriable investment is nothing but Schedule 4 investments. NRI, OCIs and companies owned and controlled by NRI, OCIs are allowed to make the investment under Schedule 4. The advantage there is that, a lot of restrictions which are given under Schedule 1 may not apply. Now, what about investments by NRIs? So as we saw that investments by NRIs on non-repatriation basis, they will not be affected. But what about investments by NRIs on a repatriation basis? Is there any dispensation or is there any relaxation that has been provided to them? So no, there has been no relaxation which has been provided to NRIs and OCIs under Schedule 1. So agar NRI bhi invest karna chahe in by way of FDI into an Indian company, तो उनको भी गवर्नमेंट अप्रूव रूट में ही जाना पड़ेगा. So this is one of the important investments. The second important amendment that I am going to cover is for caution listing. This is very, very important from an exporter point of view. So पहले क्या होता था? So पहले there was a threshold of 2 years. अगर कोई shipping bill open रह जाता था for 2 years, so export payment मुझे आया नहीं है. Okay. So in those cases, there was no discretion which was given to the AD banker. And in those cases, automatically exported caution list में चला जाता था. Okay. Below 2 years में क्या होता था? AD recommend कर सकता था to the advance notice of ED, CBI, DRI and any other law enforcement agency. And upon its recommendation, caution listing में the exporter could have been put. Now, what is the revised position? The revised position is ये जो 2 year का threshold दिया गया है, that has been done away with. Now, the AD bank upon recommendation can recommend to the RBI and also to all these, investigation agencies. And after that, the caution listing can happen. Same goes for caution delisting also. So AD अगर recommend करे कि नहीं मेरा caution delisting करना है exporter को, तो वो automatically हो जाएगा. पहले क्या होता था? Automatically upon realization of the outstanding bill for more than 2 years, या फिर AD has given an extension to you, या फिर RBI has given an extension to you, automatically delist हो जाता था. Now it is only upon the AD recommendation that caution delisting will happen. So these are the two important recent amendments that I wanted to cover. Let's move on to the next topic. What are the practical issues which are faced on a day-to-day basis? So there are a lot of practical issues when you get into the FEMA practice. One is the lack of domain knowledge, and that is not necessarily only amongst our profession, that is CA profession, that is also amongst the legal profession. So if you talk to a lot of lawyers, even the law firms don't have knowledge about FEMA. And इसमें होता क्या है that whenever a transaction happens, you may be on either side of the transaction. You may be representing the investor, you may be representing the investee. And ज़्यादातर के जो भी investments आते हैं, the Indian side typically it is represented by the Indian law firms or the Indian secretarial firms or the Indian accounting profession also. And then if this kind of knowledge is lacking, there's a lot of disconnect that happens in the transaction, and lot of times the transaction may also fall through, so it may not necessarily go ahead. So this is something that is alarming, that the domain knowledge expertise needs to be developed so that all these practical issues can be overcome. Second, काफी बार क्या होता है that you know as a statutory auditor हम audit कर देते हैं, बट ऑडिट में काफी बार एफडीआई इन्वेस्टमेंट आया, उसका कंप्लायंस फॉलो हुआ है कि नहीं हुआ है. सो एज सिंपल एज यू नो वेदर विद इन 60 डेज टाइमलाइन हमने शेयर्स इशू किए हैं कि नहीं, अनदर 30 डेज हमने एफसीजीपीआर फाइल किया है कि नहीं, एंड हमने एफएलए फाइल किया है कि नहीं. इफ इट इज ओडीआई ट्रांजैक्शन, इंडियन पार्टी ने एपीआर फॉर्म फाइल किया है कि नहीं. सो ऑल दोस कॉन्ट्रावेंशंस नॉर्मली come to notice during legal due diligence only, and legal due diligence also normally happens when an investment happens. Or on the other hand, you know, काफी companies FEMA audit भी करवाते हैं, that annual basis पे भाई आप देख लो हमारा जो भी affairs है वो clean है कि नहीं, FEMA compliant है कि नहीं. And at that point in time you come to know कि नहीं, अरे ये compliance तो अपना छूट ही गया है. And lot of times when the auditor also changes, the new auditor realizes अरे ये investment तो 4-5 साल हो गए, इसका मुझे so ground paper work दिख ही नहीं रहा है. So then you have to go for compounding. So this is something which that needs to be addressed. Third thing is that you know इतने सारे changes आते रहते हैं. So thank God अब recent times में तो काफी changes कम हो गए हैं जो आरबीआई की तौर पे आते थे एंड सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से आते थे. Now the frequency of the amendment has been reduced, but जब भी in the earlier years, if I can recollect, you know, about 6 to 7 years back, we used to see almost 100 APDR circulars that used to be issued by RBI. Now to keep track of those APDR circulars and keep them in mind when advising on a particular transaction is a humongous task. So that is something that you know practitioners need to take into account. That आपने base regulation तो देख लिया, that is okay, but उसके बाद भी जो amendments आते हैं by way of amendment notifications, by way of circulars, you need to keep track of them. Otherwise आप गलत advice दे दोगे and the client will you know have to pay the price for that. Then the next issue, which is very, very important, is there are a lot of gray areas under the regulation. Very simple, ये round tripping का जो issue है. Round tripping has not been defined under FEMA 120 at all. RBI ने वो भी जाके end में FEMA का ये जो FAQs है ODI पे FAQ number 64 issue किया गया है, and there are also certain you know reasons behind that. There was a large investment that was coming by way of FDI and very well known. तब जाके ये FAQ issue हुआ है. Even under the FAQ, RBI said that you know it is under approval route, but approval route maybe there are no criteria which have been given कि कौन से criteria के basis पे RBI will actually take a call. They have to give permission or they will reject the permission. Similarly, whenever an individual wants to make an investment, जो ODI इन्वेस्टमेंट करना है, ओवरसीज कंपनी इनकॉर्पोरेट करना है, या यू नो ओवरसीज कंपनी में इन्वेस्ट करना है, ओवरसीज स्टॉक मार्केट में इन्वेस्ट करना है, सो व्हाट इज द लाइन ऑफ डिस्टिंक्शन when you know it will be considered as a ODI transaction versus when it will be considered as a portfolio transaction? So that thin line of difference has not been given in black and white under the FEMA regulation. So another very practical and a frustrating experience that everyone that is practicing FEMA may have gone through is that there is no direct interface with RBI at all. You always and necessarily have to go through the AD bank. And the flip side of that is so the advantage of that is the AD bank can actually advise you that ये जो आपको approval लेना है RBI may not give you. The flip side to that is the compliance and the legal team of the AD bank sometimes unnecessarily takes so much time to take a stand that आपका जो भी approval है, they will hold that in the intermittent, and unless they take a stand, they will not forward it to RBI. तो आपका जो transaction के timelines होते हैं, that you need to communicate to the investor, that unnecessarily gets stretched. And sometimes, you know, the view that we take as FEMA advisors may be contrary to the view that the AD may take, and a lot of times they may even refuse to undertake the transaction, or probably even forward your application to RBI. So this is something that needs to be borne in mind, that it is not that हम जो एक बार stand लेते हैं, that is sacrosanct. Or that stand may differ between professionals also. That stand may differ between AD banks also. And at the end of the day, RBI may take a completely different stand. And this is very frustrating because, I will give you one example. So whenever you are doing a case, आपको क्लाइंट हमेशा पूछेगा, चलो समझो आरबीआई का अगर अप्रूवल लेना है तो कितना समय लगेगा. Now every time you have to actually be aware that on ground RBI कितना time ले रहा है. There is no citizen charter wherein RBI will say कि ठीक है, हमको ये तारीख पे अगर एप्लीकेशन मिलता है तो हम 2 महीने के अंदर, 3 महीने के अंदर, 4 महीने के अंदर क्लियर करके आपको दे देंगे. That citizen charter is not there. So therefore, whenever you have to advise to a client, you always have to have a buffer of 1-2 months. And अभी जो कोविड पीरियड में है उसमें तो अप्रूवल के लिए टाइम और भी एक्सटेंड हो गया है. सो इट इज ऑलवेज अ क्वेश्चन मार्क कि भाई आपको अगर अप्रूवल लेना है तो अप्रूवल कब आएगा या कब रिजेक्ट होगा. ओके, सो दैट इज समथिंग दैट इज वेरी वेरी फ्रस्ट्रेटिंग. द नेक्स्ट पॉइंट इज, every AD bank has different requirements. So recently I was undertaking a particular transaction. अभी जो FDI आता है उसमें FCGPR फाइल करना पड़ता है. उसमें वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रिक्वायरमेंट इज आपको वैल्यूएशन रिपोर्ट सबमिट करना होता है. अभी वैल्यूएशन रिपोर्ट सबमिट करना है तो उसका कोई टाइमलाइन तो दिया नहीं है कि ट्रांजैक्शन ये डेट पे हुआ, वैल्यूएशन रिपोर्ट ये डेट का है, एंड उसके इंटरमिटेंट दे शुड नॉट बी मोर देन 1 month गैप और समथिंग. सो सम AD banks take the threshold of 3 months कि नहीं, 3 months से ज्यादा, 3 months से पुराना आपका वैल्यूएशन रिपोर्ट है तो हम एक्सेप्ट नहीं करेंगे. अभी कोविड टाइम पीरियड में इतने सारे ट्रांजैक्शन अटक गए हैं, उसके पहले अगर वैल्यूएशन हुआ होगा. नाउ समझो एक आपका जो टर्म शीट साइन हो गया होगा, आपका इन्वेस्टमेंट थ्रेशोल्ड साइन हो गया होगा, एंड नाउ दैट हैज बीन ब्रोकन इनटू डिफरेंट ट्रांचेस ड्यू टू द कोविड. सो उसमें डिफरेंट बैंक्स आर टेकिंग डिफरेंट व्यू, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. So what do you do in that? The company is bearing the client is bearing the cost of that, of repetitive compliance. Next is increasing overreach of ED. I think Anil Sharma ji has already dealt with that. That nowadays ED has become very active. Even in the smallest case, such as remittance of funds for opening an NRE FD. If the fund amount is big, ED immediately jumps into the ring. So that is something which is unfortunate. Next is difficulty in conveying the FEMA regs to overseas investors. To Indian investors, it is difficult to convey. So think about how difficult it will be to convey to the overseas investors. Then in the compliance procedures, not everything has transformed to the online mode. So FDI के जो भी आपके compliance procedures है, everything has gone into the SMF platform. ODI का जो है, it is still on the plain paper, so sorry, physical copy submissions. So therefore, a lot of times उसमें format differences होते हैं, and there is no standardization. Different banks ask for different declarations. So this is something I think which will go away in the near future, because RBI is also trying that everything should be put on an online platform only, so that the time which is taken for approval and taking on record, that gets reduced. Let's quickly go to some basic case studies that I have developed. So first case study जो है वो returning Indian के behalf पे है. Very simple case study. I have only taken the FEMA angle here. So there is one individual जो इंडिया में सेटल होना चाहते हैं for retirement. He has worked for a lot of years in UK and he's planning to come to India on 15 December. As on today, उनके क्या क्या assets है India and outside India, उसका पूरा लिस्ट दिया गया है. One is FCNR deposit, NRE deposit in India, NRE savings account, NRE PIS, NRO account, Barclays savings account in UK, shares of Apple Inc. उनके पास है, shares of Reliance Industries है, immobile property UK में है, immobile property India में है. So I think Anil Sharma ji has already dealt with the definition of person resident in India. Keeping that in mind, when that person returns to India, रिटर्निंग इंडियन के तौर पे if your intention is to stay in India for an uncertain period of time to settle back in India, then in that case you immediately become a person resident in India. Once you become a person resident in India, next question kya hai? The next question is, can you maintain all these assets outside India or not? And India के आपके जो assets है उनको क्या करना चाहिए? So do you have to change certain reclassification? Can you continue? If you can continue, till what time period can you continue? So I think the short answer here is, for category wise I will go. One is FCNR B deposit. So FCNR B deposit, the person who is returning to India, they can continue till maturity. No need to reclassify that. उनका जो इंटरेस्ट है वो भी टैक्स फ्री रहेगा अंडर द इनकम टैक्स साइड. व्हाट अबाउट NREFD? NREFD आपको इमीडिएटली तोड़ के कन्वर्ट करना पड़ेगा इनटू रेसिडेंट FD. यू कैन नॉट continue that even for a single day upon reclassification of the residential status from a non-resident to a resident. The same goes for NRE savings also, NREPIS also, NRO account also. Now what about Barclays Savings Bank account? Mr. Patel maintain kar payenge after coming back to India? So yes, section 6(4) gives a blanket general permission for a returning Indian to continue to hold his assets outside India. तो asset में उनके shares of Apple Inc भी आ जाएगा, immobile property will also come, the Barclays Savings Bank account will also come. Now उनके immobile property in India है that he can anyway continue to hold, and the shares of Reliance Industries, if you would have invested as a non-resident, he may have to go for reclassification, and he may have to intimate the depository कि now my residential status change हो चुका है, please treat me as a resident, and it will no longer be treated as a non-resident shareholding when ये जो non-resident के percentages depository calculate करते हैं. Let's go to the next case study. So this is a very short case study. इसमें so in fact if you're practicing in FEMA, you would have come across this, and lot of transactions happen this way. Now अपने इंडिया में काफी छोटे मोटे कंपनीज SMEs होते हैं, स्टार्टअप्स होते हैं. Now they are not very well versed with the FEMA law. तो काफी बार क्या होता है, they want to expand outside India, and this is particularly in the case of software industries. So उनके एक दो प्रमोटर जो पिचिंग के मार्केटिंग पिच के लिए जाते हैं, US जाते हैं, they may go to Europe, they may go to UK. So in that time they realize नहीं यार मेरे को तो काफी inquiries आ रहे हैं, and why can't we service this market? We want to service US market also, we want to service Europe market also. So somebody may give the suggestion that so you have anywhere traveled to here, why don't you open up a company? So opening up a company in US, UK is very simple. आप वहाँ पे जाओ and you just deposit certain share capital, on the spot आपकी company खुल जाती है. So इसमें क्या हुआ है? Similarly, Mr. B is a promoter director, and वो जब US गए थे, sorry, here I have taken the example of Singapore. Singapore गए थे by and he has incorporated $100 Singapore dollar company in Singapore, but जिनका shareholder Indian company है, shareholder is only individual, shareholder is Indian company, and he had opened that way back in 2017, and 17, 18, 19 he has earned handsome profits. Now what has happened is the matter has come to ED, and ED investigate कर रहे हैं कि आपने जो भी वहां पे पैसा डाला है by way of share capital, आपने कहां से डाला है? Have you invested from the travel currency that you have carried from have you invested from your credit card? So mind you, Singapore as well as US allows you to incorporate company by way of credit card swipe also. आप credit card swipe करो, आपको जो share capital डालने हैं आपके credit card statement में debit हो जाए, दिखेगा वो. So it is as simple as that. So ये केस में क्या हुआ है? So ये केस में Mr. B has then told that इन्होंने जो $100 डाले थे that he had taken from a Singapore consultant, and that was on behalf of the Indian company. तो इसमें आपके contraventions क्या है? One contravention is that आप जो भी company incorporate करते हैं, so if an Indian company is incorporating a WS outside India, the money has to go through legitimate banking channels. It cannot be by way of travel currency or by swiping your credit card or by taking reimbursable short-term borrowing from a Singapore consultant. That is one. Second is काफी बार हमने देखा है that even after having knowledge of FEMA regulations, due to the ease of compliance, lot of people have done this. So a lot of promoters have done this. So in those cases, if the RBI or if the ED can prove that it has been done in connivance with Mr. B. So Mr. B was in knowledge of this, and then also he has gone ahead and done that. So in that case, section 42(1) के अंदर Mr. B को भी compounding किया जाएगा along with the Indian company. Let's go to the next example. Do I have 5 minutes, organizers, Deepti?
Yeah, but yeah. Hello, Harshil.
Yes.
Yeah, please, but we would like to sum up because there are a lot of question answers.
Okay. So let me do one thing. I don't think I will take case study 3, 4, 5. Okay. So let's go directly to the questions in that case. Okay. If there are a lot of questions, we'll do that. And in the end, अगर आपको लगता है that if the questions are over, we can come back to the case studies.
Yeah. So
yes,
I would like thank you, Harshil, for this wonderful presentation and covering in a very layman language, I can say.
Thank you.
Yes, you are, all your efforts are very much, we can understand the efforts you have put to make our audience benefit this webinar. Thank you for this. Now I request Anil ji and Harshil, both of you, to take upon these questions. As a panelist, you can see the chat box as well as I'll speak them out. Is the chat box visible to both of you?
Yes, it is.
Yes. Okay, let me directly take up the few questions which I can read. It's a question from Rahul Khandelwal ji. I had exported some goods, full payment not received. Want bank to write off as it's more than 4 years old, but bank says it's more than 2% of last year's export. Now I am getting email every 15 days. How to clear it? That was the only export done by us. Please suggest a simple way to resolve it. This question will be taken upon by Anil ji. Anil ji, please unmute.
You are on mute.
Sorry. Yeah. You see, there are two issues here. One, if any export realization is beyond 12 months, so then first of all, he must have taken some approval from the bank for extension of time. If that has not been done, that is one contravention which has happened. And secondly, if it has not been received at all and they want to write it off, it can only be done through the approval. They have to apply to the AD because in most of such cases, in fact, banks are now referring the matter to ED also.
Okay, I think the question is clear. The next question we have, hybrid instruments has been defined in NDIR 2019. However, there is no mention of the same in FDI policy. It seems that FDI has carved out the hybrid instrument as debt instrument, which will be governed by RBI.
Harshal.
Yes. So what's the question there? Sorry.
It's from Sudhakar Rao Desai, if you can see it.
Just one moment.
The third question he had asked. Number of questions are there.
Yeah. Okay. So it seems that FDI policy has been carved out, which will be governed by RBI. So you are absolutely right. So when I talked about that, about a year back, the reshuffling happened between central government and RBI. The power to govern hybrid instruments remains with RBI, though a hybrid instrument अभी तक define नहीं किया गया है. So therefore, we don't know whether there will be a carve out for hybrid instruments also. So as on today, if you ask me, optionally convertible debentures and the like instruments, ECB also they are categorized as ECB. I am not sure in future उनको hybrid instruments में classify करेंगे, and there may be a separate regulation that will be issued in that year.
Okay. The next question. Allotment of equity shares by a listed company through IPO, whether FCGPR is required to be filed or not. It appears that RBI has issued clarification in master direction, but there is no APDIR on this matter. In case of offer of sale of existing shares, if non-resident Indians subscribe the shares on the stock exchange, whether form FCTRS is required to be filed. It's again from Sudhakar ji.
Sorry, Deepti, do I have to address or Anil Sharma ji will address?
No, you can do that, sir. Harshal, you can answer that.
So, yes, sir. Yes, yes. Okay. So the question is whether FCGPR needs to be filed for a listed company investment. The answer is no. Schedule 1 investment के लिए खाली FDI compliance requirement is there. For Schedule 2 investment, FCGPR compliance is not there.
Okay.
Then I
And
think
see, disposal through stock exchange and disposal through private arrangement, that also makes a difference.
yes, correct.
Harshal, please take up on the next question also from
Yes.
Sudhakarji, the regulation 3.
Okay. Regulation 3 of TISPRO has replaced Rule 3, provided further that the Reserve Bank may on application so and so and so and so. Now, any regularization of allotment transfer of shares needs to be referred to GOI. Is there any mechanism, as we have information that there is a committee with the officials of RBI, GOI and industry professionals to decide the regularization, issue and transfer? Okay, so this, as I told you earlier, so after the non-debt instrument rules that were issued, there was a notification again which was issued stating that agar koi bhi prior approval chahiye other than the FDI investment, so all those approvals have to go to RBI only. So I hope that addresses your question. And if it is, kind of a compliance contravention, if it is, say late filing of FCGP or something, so usme to anyway LSF procedures are there. So no need to go to anyone. It is online filing per se.
Okay, that's great. The next question is, can a non-resident OCAI card holder, I think Anil Sharma sir, this is for Anil sir, pay for local India expenses through his NRO linked credit card used from abroad?
Yes, there is no problem in that.
Okay. The next question is, in continuation, if I invested in a Singapore Common A and transfer all my shares through sale of stock exchange and repatriate the entire amount in India, then will it be considered as write-off?
So there is a
Yes.
question prior to that. Deepti.
Yeah. As per the FEMA directions, an investment cannot be written off within an year of investment. What shall be the effect if the same has been done? And in continuation, the next question.
Yes. So the answer to your first question is that if you have written off within a year's time, you have to go for compounding. It is very straight and very clear. Aapka next question kya in continuation, if I have invested in Singapore and transferred all my shares through sale at stock exchange and repatriated the entire amount back to India, then it will be considered as a write-off. So first of all, you have to decide aapka investment ODI hai ya aapka investment portfolio hai. So if it is a listed company investment, it could fall under both depending upon your intention. I am going with the assumption that it is ODI. Now ODI it covers all modes of disinvestment. Disinvestment also covers transfer. So agar aap transfer karte ho kisi third party ko, that will also be treated as a disinvestment only. And if you are transferring at a loss, that will be treated as a write-off and you will still have to go for compounding.
Okay. The same related with this from Aarti Karwande. In case of loss in ODI entity JV and net worth eroded, can Indian party transfer share to other partner without any amount non-repatriation? Will this be treated as write-off? Will RBI prior approval required in this case? You can go through. It's from Aarti Karwande.
Of loss in ODI entity and net worth eroded, transfer share to the other part.
Is it in QA or chat?
It's in chat, sir. It's in chat.
Deepti, I'm not able to see that. Can you just repeat that question?
Yeah. In case of loss in ODI entity and net worth eroded, can Indian party transfer share to other partner without any amount, no repatriation? Will this be treated as write-off? Will RBI prior approval required in this case?
Okay, so it means that
Actually, the question is not.
Yeah. Let's understand the point. He's saying that company has already gone into losses, and the net worth of the companies has already eroded. Now he is transferring those shares to another company in India itself at zero value. So will it be considered as write-off? Yes, I think it is a write-off.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Because ultimately, whatever amount he has invested, he is getting zero amount for that. So it is as good as disinvest as a write-off.
Okay. The next question is, a company provided services to A company provided means X company is providing services to B company in Canada, and in lieu of same company, B issued shares of B company to A, and the company B sold those shares through stock exchange, and the amount has been remitted through exchange. In this case, the service outside India was not intimated to bank. What shall be the remedy for this?
See, first, yeah.
Question
Ashar,
is
please.
unclear in this case, because where is A company situated, that has not been given.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm. Okay,
That's the piece of
uh,
information that is missing here.
okay. I would like the person to unmute himself and ask this question. We'll take it in the last if there's time permits. The next question is, can resident Indian purchase and sale of share at international stock exchange, that is investment and not ODI? Is it possible? The last question.
Yeah, see, that is portfolio investment. I think he's talking about the
Okay.
portfolio investment. So, see, portfolio investment is only permitted to listed companies, and that also into the equity rated bonds or fixed income securities of listed companies abroad. So, to that extent, it is permitted.
Okay. The next question is whether Forex card can be swiped in India for an international transaction.
That has been expressly prohibited by RBI, so
Yeah.
that is not possible.
Yes. Okay.
Sharma ji, just so for the previous question, I think the question was under LRS, not under ODI. So if you may want to, take it in that stride.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, if it is, and in fact, there can be another. Sometime RFC account has also been sometime used for buying those shares. So there again, it would not apply.
Yes.
Okay. Now the next question is from Shilpesh Dalalji. He is asking, being in Indore, can I purchase share of Apple or Facebook? And please tell me the procedure. There are many websites claiming to buy foreign share on my behalf.
Yes. So I think that is related to the earlier question which Anish
Yes.
answered. So that is perfectly permissible under the LRS. The total limit is $250,000. He'll have to remit to a particular broker in the US who can purchase it on his behalf. So that is perfectly possible.
Okay. It's a good news for everyone. Good thing to know. Okay, we can be the part of Facebook and that Apple. Okay, how to file FCTRS for a listed company entity? From Rahul Shirsagar. Hello.
See, what is the question? FCTRS for listed company?
Yes, sir.
I mean, there is no, so long as if the shares are transferred through private arrangement, so it will be filed by the company.
Okay. Another question, NRI daughter, Indian citizen based in UK would like to gift her money to her dad out of her earning in India. Repercussions under FEMA.
There is no issue here.
There is no issue. Okay. Okay, the next question is provisions with respect to RFC bank account, wide LRS.
So I don't think the LRS limit will apply when you are emitting from the RFC bank account.
Yeah, in fact, they are free from any formal restriction regarding utilization. So RFC accounts are, in fact, very specifically it is mentioned in this 10-hour notification. It is there.
Okay. Okay. Another question from Sudhakar ji. There is a lot of news of cryptocurrency and Supreme Court judgment. Government of India or RBI has not clarified from FEMA angle whether it is currency for trading. If any person does it, whether it is contravention of or ED will come in picture.
Harshal, I think you have to answer this.
Yeah. So, this was kind of a big bang news that the Supreme Court had struck down the circular, RBI circular instructing bankers not to, undertake transactions for settlement of either side of the transaction. So purchase or sale of the cryptocurrency. So after that, there's a lot of speculation. Can you actually do it today or not? I would still, advise that please don't go ahead and do
Exactly.
it. There is no regulatory clarity in that, and if at all, so in fact, so Supreme Court had clarified in the judgment that it is not to be treated as a foreign currency per se. So therefore, it may not come under the purview of Section 3A offense. So I think that is a little comforting, but even then, as on today, I think there is no clarity. So please don't go ahead and do that. You will have to square off in the future along with compounding. You may not know.
Great.
Because buying and retaining a foreign currency is like or any currency is like a capital account transaction. So unless permitted, so we have to look for some regulation which permits that. Till that time, I think we should not be venturing into this.
Okay, the question is coming up that company A and B, it has been quoted again, but I have unmuted our participant. I would like IFC 4D283 with this name to please ask you a question directly.
Yeah, hello, sir.
Yes.
Please, your good name, please.
This is CS Surbhi Rathi Mantri here from Indore only.
Okay, great.
Here my question is, one of my client company situated in India, it's company X, provided its services to company Y in Canada, and in lieu of the same, company Y provided shares of the same company to Indian company in lieu of consideration, irrespective of the cash. Now, Indian company sold its shares at the stock exchange in Canada and remitted the entire amount in India through Nostro account. Now the amount is in Nostro account, but what should be the remedy? Because at the time of investment, it was not intimated to bank. We didn't even capitalize this particular transaction. Hello.
Yes. This question is.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, see, export realization, can it be in shares? So I think my answer is no, unless you have taken a specific approval for that you want to receive back that, because that export realization in a different shape than the convertible foreign exchange. So that's the first important point which has to be there. And it means if it has been done without approval, so first contravention has happened there.
Yes,
and second is, of course, once then valuation issue also comes in, at what rate that shares has been allotted, because any acquisition of security outside India, valuation is also to be seen. But definitely at the very first point, there is a default.
So what shall be the remedies, sir? Because when we goes to AD bank, they don't have any actual position. What compliance we can do, whether we need to go for compounding or any other procedure we can follow, like if we want to do the entire compliances from first step, is it possible?
So my practical solution which I'll give you is that you file an application, like maybe let's say for condonation or something like that. Then automatically they will reply that you go for compounding or you do whatever they want you to do it. But at least from your side, you communicate that this is the real transaction. we have not lost on the money. So much money was recoverable. We have recovered exact amount or maybe more than that, and money has come in. So at least one angle is blocked there. So, and then ask for see their maybe their comment on it, how they want us to, the company to do it. Because in such cases, I have seen AD Bank refers the matter to the central bank, and then they come out with the solution that you go for compounding, file an application for compounding, or sometimes they say return the money also. These type of replies also sometimes come.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Harshal, you have to share some any other experience on this?
Yes, sir. So, just to add to this, so under FEMA 120, there is a regulation 11 which talks about capitalization of export dues. So, if they want to treat this transaction as an ODI, then they can do
Yes,
that.
sir.
They can file from ODI with a prior approval letter. If you do not want to treat this as an ODI application, then I think what Anil Sharma ji said, that it will be as good as any normal prior approval.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Harshal sir, I have one more question. In the case too, you have explained that Singapore company case. So I just wanted to check if investment is done by an individual by just investing SGD one share by swiping just the credit card. So again, it will be FEMA ODI compliance will be applicable even for one SGD.
So it depends whether it is LRS ODI transaction or LRS portfolio transaction. If you are incorporating a company, in all likelihood, it is supposed to be a LRS ODI transaction. Then there will be multiple contraventions. One is non-remitting, so not incorporating company by remitting money through the banking channel. Second is non-filing of form ODI. So and even after that, there may be certain other offenses like non-submission of share certificate, etc. So that is
Yes, sir.
certainly a contravention, and you will have to go for compounding in that case.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much to both of you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we are done with the questions, and all our participants are very much satisfied with the answers of our expert. And thank you Harshal ji and Anil Sharma ji for putting all your efforts and giving your precious time, and may giving us opportunity to invite you and hear you and listen you. And now we have CA Rajesh Sehlot ji with us. Hello.
Ma'am.
Yes, sir. So we were from Indore. We would like to hear a few words from you, sir.
Thank you, Dipti. Thank you so much. Really, it was a wonderful session on FEMA. First time I have heard a great and deep deliberation on the subject. Let me congratulate Dipti for this wonderful session, which you organized, conducted in a very conducive manner. Let me also thank CA Dr. Rajkumar Ji Adukia, who is a very good friend of mine, for mentoring this session and blessing this session and being chief guest of this workshop. He is a very good scholar on various professional subjects, and therefore he is CA as well as a doctor. I'm also thankful to CA Dinesh Kumar Jain, Secretary CIRC, who is from Jaipur. He is a very versatile personality, always helpful to the Gyan station. And Dinesh ji, we are thankful for sparing valuable time for this workshop. As far as the speakers on FEMA today are concerned, I am highly obliged to CA Anil Sharma ji from Delhi, whom I would say that he is an encyclopedia on FEMA, and he has answers to almost all the complicated and complex issues, and he gives advices across the country, across the globe on FEMA. So we are thankful to you, sir, on behalf of Gyan Darshan. Moreover, I am also thankful to CA Harshal Bhuta from Mumbai, who is also an authority on FEMA, and we really enjoyed his deliberation. So friends, I am thankful to all the jurists also who have raised very significant queries on the subject. And with these words, on behalf of Gyan Darshan, once again,
Yeah.
I'm thankful to all the faculties, guests, speakers, and the participants. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your kind and encouraging words. And I'm really, we are looking for, as far as thanking is concerned, we are really obliged, but we are looking for more sessions from both our learned
Yeah.
speakers, and we are expecting more and more sessions
Surely.
with varied subjects from you. And
See,
thank
each
you all
session for us also
participants.
is very learning process.
Sure.
Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I hereby thank Akshay ji, Sukrati Ambol from Gurgaon, Akshay from Indore, Harshal, and all our panelists and participants on behalf of Gyan Station for joining us and always extending their support. Thank you. Yeah,